Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 19th, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of School Directors of the Lower Merion School District. Tonight's meeting is being held in person and is also accessible via Zoom webinar and live stream. Please note that the meeting is being video recorded with sound and will be publicly broadcasted. For those attending in person, please be aware that under the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act, members of the public are permitted to record public meetings. That means that any comments you make, even at your seat, may be recorded by others. The board values hearing from the district residents and taxpayers. We believe that the community input is in the best interest of our students and of our schools. Later in the meeting, there will be opportunity for public comment, both in person and through the Zoom chat feature, which will be read out loud by Solicitor Ruse. For those joining us via the Zoom webinar, the chat feature will be enabled during the audience recognition portion of the agenda so that you can submit public comments at that time. Thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to the engagement in tonight's meeting. And I will turn it over to our new superintendent, Dr. Ranelli.
Thank you very much. I have a couple of announcements that I want to make, and there's some celebrations that I want to do and really acknowledging some of our kids, but we'll do that at the end of the meeting. First off, I've been to Lower Merion now for just over a month, and I was able to see what a wonderful place this is. I've said many times over the past few weeks, this is a perfect place for me to be, and I'm really lucky to be part of this team. This community has great things to offer students, families, staff members, and I've only been here a month, and so I've only seen just a little bit. Along with strengths, I'm beginning to realize and understand some challenges we are facing. I also understand the importance with dealing with them head on and out in the open. The unrest is evident by witnessing everything that has been going on, but just witnessing these events is not enough. We need to truly immerse ourselves with pure hearts to bring the community together. The board, as well as the administration, are committed to putting in this work. We all want the same things: a safe place for our kids that they could learn and grow, free from hate and anger. A place where they could feel comfortable and valued for who they are. We're going to work together to support each other in these efforts, and I think the work starts here at these meetings. They play a big part in the public tone throughout the month. Our committee meetings this month were great, full of great information, positive community discussion, and healthy discussion as well. Very productive, which leads to clear objectives for tonight. I've been asked by quite a few different people in many occasions, well, when are we going to bring the community together? When are we going to start, Frank? And I have asked for patience as I learn as much as I can. I know my work can seem slow at times, but I want to make sure that I get it right. I have and will continue to speak with outside groups that can offer help, understanding, and insight. I have met with many individual parents about their children's experience, and the correct steps I need are quickly coming into focus. I have meetings set up with some students. I'm looking forward to interacting with them, understanding how they feel and how they could be supported. I will then plan my next steps and my next meetings. I will be including many community stakeholders and leaders, and I want to make sure we take methodical steps to contribute to the foundation of our district and that they don't just fizzle out because we acted too quickly. This work will not take a month, but it is at the top of my list of my work here at Lower Merion, and I'll say it once again, this is a wonderful community for me to be. The second announcement that I want to make is that we hear and understand the community's desire for inclusive playgrounds. We think it's really important as well. So I will just want to make this announcement that we hear you, right? It's not something that we're just ignoring. I want to announce a little bit that we'll be working. I'll be meeting with the Education Foundation on June 4th and proposing some things, and maybe we could work through the Education Foundation for some things. Many people have come up to me and said, where could we donate money? How could we get the community involved? Well, this is the venue to do that. So again, I'll ask for your patience, right? These won't go up in a month. We won't even have the reports back from our architect until the end of the summer, until about August. And by then, we'll have everything in place for us to really make, hopefully, a dent in what we'll need. So again, we hear you. We're not ignoring you. We just want to make sure that we do it right. All right. Also, we've had some questions about the transportation for some students to the Ardmore Community Center. I had a nice conversation with Commissioner Anthony Stevenson today, and long story short, as much as I could say here, we'll stay in communications and we'll do whatever we can to make sure we work together. And that concludes my report.
Excellent. I just want to commend. We have been, this team as a team of 9 with our new superintendent as a team of 10 have been running committee meetings together for 2 years. And I've been really impressed. I've been going to more and more committee meetings and just really impressed with the chairs. But I can tell you from seeing the difference in the last month that your leadership has brought to the table to organize all the great work of your team, but also to work alongside the committee chairs and the co-chairs to do that great work. We recognize that the committee meetings are the power and the life of the board, and they're really powerful. So I want to thank you for that leadership, but I also want to thank our committee chairs. I think our committee chairs have done an excellent job, and we're going to go into committee chair reports in a minute, so you'll be able to hear them directly, but they've done an excellent job trying to ensure in the last 6 months that when people come to a committee meeting, we understand that not everybody has the opportunity and the privilege to go to every single one. So what happened to get us at the point that you're at? What are we talking about today? And then what are the next steps? Because it is really hard to jump in and out. I will just say that these committee chairs are dedicated volunteers in this position, and they're all really dedicated. So any questions that you have, there's a lot of complex information out there. There's a lot of confusing information, and I just really impose on everybody, please ask your committee chair what's going on. So now we're gonna go to those amazing committee reports. We're gonna start with the policy committee. And could the 2 members of the policy committee chairs raise your hand first? So who are my, there we go. So our 2 co-chairs of the policy committee are both Anna and Melanie. Which one of you would like to do the report? Melanie, okay, go for it. Thank you.
Thank you for both. So our last policy meeting was on May 2nd, 2020, this year. And this meeting was dedicated solely to Policy 236, behavioral support, which are students who have IEPs. And it's being updated to reflect our best practices and inclusive language and continue to remain compliant with legal standards. The revisions promote least restrictive inclusive support, the strategies, and sets clear expectations for training, safety, and family engagement, developed through deep collaboration with the Committee for Special Education, district staff, and families. The policy committee will continue to work on revisions for the administrative regulations with a focus on the following: clear stages of intervention with supports increasing in degrees of restrictedness, the framing of student behavior as a form of communication, and the importance of preserving student dignity in real-time interventions, supports for students related to sensory and emotional regulation, and communication and collaboration with parent guardians, including same-day notifications of the use of restraints. The other, we did retain the generative AI policy, and it remained on the agenda, and that was reflecting the intent to move the first read forward. So for tonight, we're asking that the board approve a first read of the 236 policy, and to move forward policy 134 in its first read. And I thank you.
Excellent, thank you very much. Now, the curriculum committee happened on May 12th, and the curriculum chairs are Sarah, raise your hand, and Shayna would raise her hand right now, but she's at the Balakinwood Middle School play, correct, for her child. And band concert, there we go. So, Sarah, lead us through this update.
Sure. So curriculum committee met on May 12th. We reviewed some contracts that were up for annual renewals. We had a wonderful presentation on a new Latin textbook for level 3. We also reviewed the new math sequence, which we've been talking about for the past few curriculum committee meetings, and it's on the agenda for approval tonight. And the big overall takeaway is going from students who are in that double accelerated in middle school, instead of taking 2 years of math in 1 year, they will be taking 3 years of math in 2 years. So a year and a half of math in 1 year of time instead of 2 years of math in 1 year of time, to help the students' experience to be improved and the teachers' experience to be improved in teaching the courses as well. And that was another wonderful presentation that we were given on it. Really got into the details. If you have questions about the math sequencing specifically in middle school, I would really recommend that you go back and watch that agenda and that video. And then we also had a great presentation on the new science curriculum that will be on the agenda for approval tonight as well. For middle school, for grades 6 through 8, the TWIG science program is the recommended one to move forward with integrating for our 6th through 8th graders. Our next meeting will be in the fall. Stay tuned.
Thank you. And then the amazing Facilities and Purchasing Committee that is run by Jason and Melanie. Which one of you is doing the update? There we go.
Thank you. So we discussed the list of bills. We also went through the purchasing report. Among the many different items that we touched base on, we talked about on the purchasing report, the gym floors being refinished, which is an annual or a reoccurring annual sprinklers and fire pump inspections, alarm monitoring, gym equipment and bleacher inspections. We also looked at the district contracts and moved forward the recommendations from the curriculum committee, as well as additional student services contracts. And then towards the end of the meeting, we received a very thorough and informational presentation from Mr. Lill about the facilities, capital projects, and bus replacements. And I encourage the community to watch that to get a better understanding of both of those. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Jason. And our last one update is the Finance Committee meeting that was May 15th, and our two co-chairs are Todd and Kimberly.
So, yeah, we met on Friday, which was the last in a series of finance meetings, which had started in December. The first part of the meeting was to catch the community up on the budget deficit, which had been presented the month prior. So the operating budget for 24-25 is $329 million to keep everything even, to maintain all programs at current levels that for the coming year that would cost $344 million. So that's $15 million increase. The Act 1 generated $10 million of that. So that is where the $5 million deficit came from. So in April, at that meeting, we presented that some of that gap was going to be made up through changes in the transportation. We also knew that enrollments at Lower Merion High School were going to be down by about 250 students next year compared to the year prior. But the specifics of how to completely close that gap were still emerging. They came into focus, and they were presented completely an itemized list of all $5 million. Again, there's $1.6 million through changes in enrollment, primarily at Lower Merion. $710,000 for the changes in the late transportation and the half days. Those are really the only things the students are going to see. There are some internal things with reworking healthcare costs and some administrative changes that get to the rest of the $5 million. But please go back and review that meeting as well as all the other finance meetings that came before if you're interested in more granular details. We also then talked about the Capital Reserve Fund. It's about $4 million in that, which is going to go to the buses this year, as well as roof at Penwyn. We're anticipating another $4 million or so transfer for the year that's not over, which is also going to go into buses and a Bala-Cynwyd roof. And hopefully next year there'll be Oakwell money of 12.9 plus hopefully some additional capital transfers. Which will go into roofs in this building as well as some of the high schools, and again, buses, because buses is going to be a feature nearly every year for about $2 million or so a year for buses we have to plan. But anyway, there's a tremendous amount of detail in that meeting, and particularly in the attachments to all of the finance meetings that we've had. If you go into Board Docs, click on the attachments, it can get you to all the revenues, all the expenses. And if there's questions regarding any of that, just let us know and we'll try to square you away.
Thank you very much. Just to clarify, there are 4 members of the board on every single committee. So there's 2 chairs, but there's 4 members at all time. And if you want to look for any of this information, who's on which committee, because both Abby and I are on committees as well, there's a lot of information on lmsd.org/board. So you go through there, you'll be able to get to board docs, you'll be able to get to the videos, and also see all the committees as well. So really powerful meetings and really effective this month. And again, thank you very, very much, Dr. Rinelli, for your leadership on this. And with that, we are moving to audience recognition. So at this time, we will hear public comment. If you would like to speak at tonight's meeting and have not signed up with Mr. Orlando, right there, please do so now. For those of you joining us via the webinar, the chat feature will now be open and you will see a 10-minute timer appear on your screen. You can submit your comments and/or questions via the chat feature. Please be sure to begin with your full name and where you reside within the district, just the general town, not your address, in order for your comment to be shared. We also will let the students, do you have any problem with that? No, students go first. That's our rule here. So once you get settled over there, you can start with a student.
We do have a few students signed in. I don't know if some of the other areas, if they're students or not.
These are all students.
These are all students, okay.
Yes.
I guess while individuals are signing, we can get started. Pedram Bigdali from Villanova, Miles, can't make your last name, Aquino Sal, and Adam Beckenfor. I think we're all students. Are they going to come forward to start?
So Mr. Orlando, are you ready? Okay, great. So just remember, just say your full name and general area you reside in the district. Thank you. And you have 3 minutes.
My name is Pedram Bigdeli from Villanova, and I'm the president of the Middle Eastern North African Student Association, otherwise known as MANASA. Good afternoon. Our club, MANASA, has been the subject of unfair targeting by certain members of the community due to us hosting a speaker, Mr. Omar Al-Shogre, on April the 28th. Omar came to speak about the brutal torture he experienced while living and subsequently being imprisoned under the Assad regime in Syria. So here's our side. First, on our speaker. The idea that the speaker at some time was limited to only MANASA students is fundamentally false. All students were welcome, and many students who had never attended a MANASA meeting came to this event. In fact, the student who informed us about Omar speaking here was not a MANASA member. Another lie is that Omar is an anti-Semite. This is again blatantly false. My friend Miles Baldwin will expand on this, but whether or not you agree with his opinions on Israel's actions in Gaza, we must be open to dialogue. In case you are still worried, Omar didn't even allude to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict once in his speech. Us inviting Omar seemed to be enough of a reason for parents to dig through everything they could to support a fundamentally false narrative. For example, we were criticized for including a watermelon emoji in one of our posts, claiming it was related to Palestine, when in fact it represented a central part of an Iranian holiday that we were celebrating, Shab Yalda, otherwise known as the winter solstice. Parents also criticized us for not including the Israeli flag in our Instagram bio, claiming that we excluded Israel and Israeli students. But the bio only included the nationalities of our club's officers, none of whom are of Israeli origin. Despite this, the district has since directed us to either include all 17 flags of the Middle East or to remove every single flag from our bio. The claim that we excluded Jewish and Israeli students was also brought up when we first announced our plans for MANASA last spring. This can easily be refuted by the fact that many Jewish and Israeli students have attended our meetings and will continue to do so. Finally, on an interview, one school board candidate claimed that he wouldn't be surprised if our programs included socialism. This was alluding to the fact that the Chinese flag was present in our bio. But this is because one of our officers, Keanu Sao, is Chinese, not because we support socialism. Let me be clear, misconceptions are one thing. The problem is that these members who are making these claims about our club didn't reach out to us or anyone affiliated with Manasseh to clear up these misconceptions. Instead, they went to the Philadelphia Inquirer and they went to an Islamophobic Twitter account with over 50,000 followers that claimed that white, Christian, and Jewish children were banned from attending our speech, which is ridiculous because our club is proud to be one of many clubs at
Thank you
Harrington
very
designed
much.
to celebrate our students' identity.
3 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miles Baldwin, Narberth. My name is Miles Baldwin. I am the Vice President and co-founder of Manasseh, that's Middle Eastern North African Student Association at Harrington High School. I believe that we as a community and as individuals can always learn from everyone around us, even though people may have differing views. This school year, after a few great club meetings, we found out that his fellow student had connections to a notable human rights activist and speaker, Omar Al-Shoger. We thought him speaking at Harrington would be a fantastic opportunity for students to learn about an often unexplored topic in American high school curriculum, being contemporary Middle Eastern history, from someone who had a strong track record as a public speaker, speaking in front of Harvard, in front of Princeton, Congress, and for TED Talk. This speech was scheduled with the sole subject being Al-Shoger's life experiences under the Assad regime. We made this abundantly clear to our community through our communication. When we announced this event, we received pushback immediately. Mr. Al-Shoger has his opinions on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Any human rights activist would. And hosting him as a guest speaker does not imply a blanket endorsement of every opinion he has ever voiced. While mostly discussing Syria on social media, Mr. Al-Shoger has, on occasion, mentioned his support for Palestinian human rights. That does not mean he has nothing valuable to teach the community. After the talk, audience members described it as heartwarming, moving, and informative, and never once were the words Israel or Palestine mentioned or alluded to. A common argument we hear is that our district shouldn't invite someone with controversial opinions on a subject to speak, even if they pledge not to talk about the topic itself. This argument seems to, in my opinion, promote anti-intellectualism. This district has not previously prohibited learning from an individual based on their beliefs outside of the subject matter of their learning. The Jewish Chronicle, for example, deems George Orwell to have plenty of, and I quote, casual and perhaps not so casual anti-Semitism found in his published works. And yet we still teach both Animal Farm in middle school and 1984 in IB classes at Harrington. Yet I don't see the same opponents to our speech complaining, due to Orwell's personal views, that those two books shouldn't be taught. My point is this: when we as a community restrict a speaker to a smaller audience, we are denying our kids and frankly the community at large an amazing learning opportunity. We can all learn so much from one another. It's one of the most valuable things I as a high schooler have learned. Other culture and heritage clubs at Harrington have previously held events hosted by speakers who hold views that many students at the school would disagree with. That does not mean they shouldn't speak. I believe that everyone can learn from others. I learned quite a lot from Mr. Al-Shoger's speech. It was informative and very moving. The problem lies in trying to restrict people from sharing their story. We implore this community to ensure everyone's voice is heard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Keanu Tsao from Narberth. I'm also an officer of Middle Eastern North African Student Association at Harrington High School. I want to speak about my experience personally. Nationwide, in 2020, hate crimes against Asian Americans, the people I so proudly belong to, spiked 300%, with 9,000 being recorded in just a year after the pandemic started. I was only 12 when the pandemic started. I was afraid of being attacked in the street for being Asian, afraid of being pushed in front of a subway in the city, afraid of being discriminated against, and afraid of being excluded. The thing is, although the extent to which Asians are discriminated against a few years ago has somewhat improved, I see another group experiencing a similar discrimination and exclusion in this country, including this very school district, Middle Easterners. Unfortunately, the same ignorance that caused me and many other Asians in 2020 to feel unsafe is fueling anti-intellectualism and anti-critical thinking in the very school district that is supposedly one of the best public systems in the country. As my colleagues Miles and Pedram just spoke about, without any genuine inquiry or investigation, the club I'm also an officer of has been accused of excluding Jewish and white students, despite the fact that there is zero evidence to point to this conclusion but the racist association of the term Middle Eastern with anti-Semitism. We were reported for being being an anti-Jewish club before we were even officially formed. Without any genuine inquiry or investigation, we were accused by some residents of hosting a terrorist to speak on the basis of simply sympathizing with Palestinians, and as a result, had that event's access changed from open to the public to Heritage students only. Again, without any genuine inquiry or investigation. We were accused of being a socialist club by a school board candidate because of the fact that at one point we included the Chinese flag in our Instagram bio because we wanted to show the backgrounds of our officers and I am Chinese. Additionally, the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism adopted by the school district effectively declares it anti-Semitic to criticize the state of Israel in any meaningful way. Parents in the district publicly call Palestinians monsters, baby killers, and subhumans on social media. When there's ignorance-fueled hatred towards Middle Eastern students, both from students and parents in the school district, and the school district essentially endorses it by giving into their racist and baseless demands, and when any criticism of Israel as racist is deemed to be anti-Semitic, how is this school, supposedly one of the best in the United States, fulfilling the basic principles of education, critical thinking, and open-mindedness to different perspectives? How? How are our students, who are taught that it is anti-Semitic to point out anything wrong with the state of Israel, supposed to develop proper critical thinking skills? I'm not taking a position on whether Israel is racist or not, or whether it should exist. That is a completely different debate. What I am taking position on is that when we limit conversation about it, it doesn't accomplish anything for either side. This speech is not about Israel, Netanyahu, Hamas, or settlements. This speech is about free speech and dialogue. If we continue operating the way we do, we're simply teaching our kids to think one thing and to never question it. Why should the school district, again, supposedly the best public school district in Pennsylvania, bow to a frankly loud minority to sacrifice and compromise the values that make it an excellent school? The intolerance faced by my community, Asians, is fundamentally the same intolerance faced by Middle Easterners and those simply trying to voice their perspectives.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Adam Benefor. I am a resident of Gladwin and treasurer and co-founder of Heritage Manassa. One of the most important pillars to a successful educational environment is safety, first and foremost. I hope everyone in this room can agree with this statement. A safe environment allows students to learn and express themselves and reach their full academic potential. As a Middle Easterner student, however, I can't say this community is one I feel safe in. How can I, when a parent within this community stated publicly on social media, quote, that my people are baby killers and monsters, and our Middle Eastern North African club was reported without cause for anti-Semitism before its inaugural meeting? Where were the condemnations? Where was the actions? They were quite simply nowhere to be found. Yet when us Middle Eastern students simply attempt to host a speaker in order to express our culture, this school board devolves into a bastion of hate and paranoia. The precedent that is set is clear for anyone to see. Racism and discrimination is not punished in the school district. It is weaponized. Where is the benefit here? Muzzling the voices of others does not stop racism at all. All it does is fuel hatred and anger in a world where anti-Jewish hate crimes rose by 57%, and over 75% of Muslims have reported experiencing hate crimes of some form or another in the last year. Islamophobia has risen by 182% since 2023, in fact. The last thing the school needs is a breeding ground for discrimination rather than one for open discussion and dialogue. To truly live up to their no place for hate name, this district needs to tackle these issues head on. Words are simply not enough. Double standards must be rooted out, starting with school policy on extracurricular activities, making sure rules are enforced equally. So before the district attempts once again to damage my freedom of speech, they need to ask themselves whether or not that would apply to other people of other cultures. Anti-discrimination training should not only just cover anti-Semitism, as much as anti-Semitism is a major issue within this district, but Black, Asian, and Middle Easterners, who are no less important and no less threatened by racist rhetoric and ideology. Lower Merion today stands at an inflection point. You have the power to choose whether this district will become tomorrow's this district's students will become tomorrow's peacekeepers or Proud Boys. So choose wisely.
Thank you.
Sam Donaghy, Khalid Rosenfeld, Jesse Loreno, Fiona Yates, Sloanfeld, and Garrett Saxonhouse.
Sorry, give me 2 seconds. Sam Donaghy from Wynwood. Good evening, school board members and honorable superintendent. The last time I was at a school board meeting, I sat shaking a little bit in the audience as parent after parent, community member after community member went up to talk about me or my friends or events that I ran or participated in or knew the people who ran or participated in. And I watched person after person misinterpret genuine, loving, caring, curious actions as somehow violent and malicious. And it scared me. Because I don't want to live in a community where every time we approach uncomfortable discourse, we are immediately met with a wave of backlash and misunderstanding so great that it makes any discourse impossible. You know just as well as I do, the Supreme Court has enshrined students' free speech rights at the schoolhouse gate. Have enshrined that students' free speech rights don't stop at the schoolhouse gate. You have probably heard a lot of people speak to you from the angle of Jewish student safety. You've heard a lot of people say that Jewish students are not safe in LMSD schools, and you've heard that the thing making them unsafe is discussions about Israel and Palestine. But I fear that the much bigger threat to the safety of Jewish students is the culture of silence that is perpetrated at all levels of LMSD, no matter how much good intention there is behind it. There's been a repeated pattern of free speech violations and incidents of censorship over the last 2 years. In my time as a student at LM, when the Maronite has tried to publish articles about the Middle East, when students have tried to organize good faith dialogues between teachers or themselves, have tried to bring in speakers, have tried to organize clubs, every time it is met with so much backlash and is then met with silence. And I understand why students are censored. It's because it's scary. I understand the fear that administrators must face because every time students speak out, you guys make the inquire. And I know that that is not fair to you just as it is not fair to us. I understand the fear. It is so scary to be met with the brunt of many, many people, all of whom are angry and scared. But we have to face our fears together right now to say that the rights of students to talk about the Middle East is too important to give up on. A teacher of mine once told me that if she had one piece of advice for every student, it was less judgment, more curiosity. And I wish she had had the opportunity to teach every member of this community that lesson. My friends at Harriton have said this better than I ever could, but I will say that I helped organize that oh-so-controversial SAGE conference. Almost everyone who helped organize that conference was Jewish. The speakers that led to so much backlash were half Jewish alums of our very high school who entered to learn and went forth to serve and were simply speaking on their lived experience. And if the mere presence of people who disagree with Israel's current actions in the Middle East is so threatening to our community that we cannot allow any speech on it, I fear what that means for our educations, because it is impossible to have true dialogue and it's impossible for students to learn or to feel safe when they do not feel safe to voice their opinions. Jewish student safety is not just about our safety from uncomfortable discussions, but is our safety to feel fully empowered in speaking about the things that are important to us. Thank you so much for your wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Caleb Rosenfeld. I'm from Wynwood. I'm a sophomore at Lower Merion High School. I'm here today regarding the large increase in student censorship that has been occurring this year and last year. It was my understanding that this censorship was largely due to concerns about anti-Semitism. I believe this occurred due to the question of whether criticism of Israel is anti-Semitism. I do not have the answer to this question. I do not think anyone in this room has the answer to that question because I don't think it has a yes or no answer. What I do think is that taking down art and censoring students without a published explanation is not a solution to any dispute. When art is taken down with no explanation, people's feelings get hurt, and hurt feelings often lead to misunderstandings. I feel that the students' voices have been missing from the conversation, and that there's a gap that separates the feelings expressed in these meetings from the feelings of many in the student body. I am here to attempt to bridge that gap. First, let me explain what happened at the art show. One piece of art depicting Israel's border over the span of history was requested to be taken down. Another display, titled Just Kids, featured the lists of children in Gaza who have died. Neither of these pieces featured exaggeration, anti-Jew sentiments, or any anti-Semitic imagery, just political commentary. My proposal is to facilitate a conversation. Any disagreement between groups cannot be settled in 3-minute speeches once a month. We need to talk to each other to avoid either side making generalizations and assumptions. I know I've made harmful assumptions in the past, and I know harmful assumptions have been made about my friends in speeches spoken at this podium. From my own research about claims made here, these are my opinions. I don't think Jewish Voices for Peace is a hateful organization. I think Stand With Us is a far-right bias organization whose motives span beyond educating on anti-Semitism, and I think taking down and censoring anything you disagree with is not a healthy form of disagreement. For anyone who feels differently, I invite you to have a conversation with me and some of my peers. We want to learn from you, and we want you to learn from us. If the school board or the school district administration could help facilitate this conversation, that would be wonderful. And to the school board, we appreciate you. Your efforts consistently show that you deeply care about the students, and that is seen, and we really do appreciate it. What I ask of you is that going forward, you use your wonderful policies regarding student expression to ensure free speech. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jesse Lorino. I'm from Ardmore, and I'm here today to. So, I'm not Jewish, right? I have many Jewish friends who are engaged in advocating for free speech and the ability to criticize some of Israel's actions in our school, right? And I'm here to say that I believe that efforts to repress the open discussion of what's happening in Gaza are harmful to Jewish students who are caught in the crossfire, right? Like, I'm not Jewish. I can say Free Palestine. I will face repercussions, but these repercussions will not affect, like, I might get chastised by the school. I don't face alienation from my friends. I don't face alienation from my family. I don't face alienation from my community. And this is more likely to impact the mental health, the physical safety, right? There have been incidents of like violent anti-Semitism in the school district. I've read about these, and I believe there is a problem with anti-Semitism. But criticizing or restricting criticism against Israel is not going to protect students from immediate violence, right? And it does decrease it. Like I said, it alienates the community. They're being pushed forward. They're forced to be. They're not forced, obviously, but like they are become visible, which is more dangerous for them. I'm sorry. I know it's a little. I got 3 minutes. Many of my friends have been passionately and in good faith trying to create discussions. Like Caleb Rosenfeld was just up here saying, like, I want to have these open conversations. And first, not only are these restrictions against free speech hurting these students, they're actively hurting the ability to have these conversations, which has been proposed by a lot of these organizations trying to combat anti-Semitism. I know I am capable of anti-Semitism. You're hurting the people who want to engage in good faith and are going to be able to provide provide nuanced takes, right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Fiona Yates. I am from Ardmore, and I am a 10th grader at Lower Merion High School. Good evening, and thank you for having me here tonight. I'm extremely grateful to all of you for considering the statements of me and my fellow classmates at the Lower Merion School District. The reason I've come to speak is that I find our school district no longer lives up to what it promises to be, a place of freedom, inclusion, and diverse thought. Specifically, I feel that the school has failed in upholding Policy 119, titled the Controversial and Value Issues Policy in relation to LM's art show. This policy, quote, affirms the board's commitment to the incorporation into the ongoing curriculum ideas that may transcend traditional curricular topics and raise questions about current social, political, technical, philosophical, religious, and other challenges, regardless of the controversial nature of the topic, as long as on divided issues, differing views are carefully presented, end quote. As Caleb Rosenfeld earlier explained, 2 student artworks displayed at the show were taken down, which referenced the Israel-Palestine conflict and were critical of Israel's actions. Later, the entire show was taken down early. It is my understanding that this was because of suspected anti-Semitism. I feel that this is an infringement of 119. Lower Merion Township is lucky to have high schools that do not tolerate anti-Semitism, and I will forever be grateful for it. However, the artworks on display solely criticized Israel's actions as a state, not the Israeli or Jewish people. This is not against Lower Merion School District's policy on anti-Semitism. In the district's definition, it states that manifestations of anti-Semitism, quote, might include the targeting of the state of Israel, conceived as a Jewish collectivity. However, criticism of Israel similar to that leveled against any other country cannot be regarded as anti-Semitic, unquote. I feel that these students' artworks are protected means of self-expression and bring a new viewpoint to the Lower Merion community. I come to you because I feel that this art exhibit is just an example of Lower Merion's deviation from Policy 119. I am not making a request for Lower Merion to support a specific side, only to allow all sides to be heard. I ask that all departments and the administration consider students' voices and expression to be a valuable piece of LMHS's environment, and will consider changing their actions to reflect this. Thank you so much for your time and understanding. I am confident that LM will come to a conclusion that supports everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sloan Field, and I live in Ballackinwood, and I'm a student at Lower Merion High School. This is my first time speaking at a school board meeting, and I've chosen to come out and speak because I think this topic is really important. Recently, I've seen a lot of student censorship, specifically against students who have opinions that don't align with the majority of the community. At the moment, specifically students who are anti what Israel is doing in the Middle East. This happened most recently with the art show and art that was featured at the art show, as my peers mentioned. I personally think that it is completely unacceptable and unwarranted to stop people from expressing their opinions because they differ from yours. Everyone should have a place and the ability to express their opinion as long as it isn't hateful towards other people and other groups. And I don't believe that disagreeing with what Israel is doing is hateful towards Jewish people or Israeli people. It is disagreeing with how Israel is handling that conflict. And I agree that there should be consequences for students and anybody who uses their words and their platform to make hateful and rude and derogatory and do hateful and rude and derogatory things, and there should be consequences for those actions. That being said, differing opinions should not be censored because everyone deserves to have the opportunity to share their opinion, and just because someone doesn't have the same opinion as you doesn't mean their opinion is any less valid. I would also like to add that students shouldn't be censored by the school because parents might get upset, and students shouldn't be censored because, just in general, anybody would get upset, as well as students shouldn't be called out for their opinions by parents at school board meetings because that is completely unprofessional and unacceptable to do to a student. They're still kids and they deserve to say their piece without getting bombarded by hateful people and adults who disagree with their opinions. That being said, everybody deserves to have their voices heard, and allowing their voices to be heard, not allowing their voices to be heard just because it doesn't align with the majority of the community is completely appalling. I hope you take this issue seriously, and I thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Garrett Saxonhouse. My dad is Jewish, my mom is Irish, and I was actually openly invited to come to Manasseh meetings by one of my friends, Adam Benefor.
Can you please just state where you reside?
Oh, I reside in Marion. And what I think is interesting is during these meetings, we mostly just talked about culture or holidays, and those are our main topics. And I also did attend the speech of Omar al-Khashoggi, and I thought it was interesting because he only talked about his experiences in Syria. For example, being imprisoned there and the torture he faced as a political dissident of the Bashar al-Assad regime. And in none of these conversations did he talk about Israel. This club is not a political club from my experience attending a lot of the meetings. It's mostly somewhere where we talk about Arab culture and eat different foods from these countries. And so I want to also mention that I'm also speaking in favor of the Jewish community here because I think that we're kind of jumping the gun on this issue. This is not a club that is, spreading anti-Semitic or political statements. This is a club that's about promoting Middle Eastern culture. And I think that when we are going to talk about this club and try to severely restrict what it does, real anti-Semites can use this as fuel to say, hey, look, we're being discriminated against, and this can result in the club, rightfully saying, hey, maybe this should go to a judicial review because we're not being treated constitutionally by the school district. And what does this mean? This means that we might be severely restricted from going after real anti-Semitism because our administrators are going to fear having to deal with the legal ramifications. We see this at places like Columbia, where the administrators were effectively handcuffed from taking on real anti-Semitism because of the fear that they could face lawsuits or other forms of repercussion for taking action on these issues. And so I fear that if we jump the gun on this issue, there might be more serious anti-Semitism that the Jewish community cannot address later down the road if we're just censoring a club that's focused on culture and non-violent and non-political issues. I'm going to yield the rest of my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Amanda Branson-Gill, Kami Pulsifer, Rich Lester, Beth Sandberg, Rachel Rogers, and Nigeria James.
And that's now we're moving on to adult comments, correct? Just to thank you for all of our students for coming to speak.
It's Amanda, Gill, Kami, and then Rich, Beth, Rachel, and then Nigeria.
Good evening. My name's Amanda Branson-Gill, and I live in Marion Station. First, the kids are all right. I'm so impressed with all of you. Thank you for speaking up and modeling civil dialogue for all of us. You give me so much hope. Second, thank you, Superintendent, for working on inclusive playgrounds. I can't wait to see all of our kids playing. Finally, I'm here because last month's meeting troubled me too. It really troubled me. Neighbors yelling at each other, adults yelling at students. I don't think it made anyone feel safer. And with tomorrow's election, it's been a doozy of a month since. We grown-ups have to do better. Whatever happens at the polls, come Wednesday morning, we have to wake up and continue the work of ensuring that all of our students feel safe, respected, and heard. That we commit to each and every kid getting what they need to live their full lives. That we center the needs of kids who are differently abled. That we aggressively address the opportunity gap still plaguing our district. That we combat anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and all forms of racism. It is my sincere hope that we can move forward with open hearts and minds, engaging in civic dialogue. We are a big, beautiful, diverse community. This is our greatest strength. It also means that we won't always agree with each other, and that's okay. Let's not tear each other down. Let us find constructive ways to listen to each other, engage with each other, and build a robust, respectful, and vibrant community together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Kami Pulsifer, and together with Lisa Prosnitz, we are the co-presidents of the Interschool Council, or better known as the ISC. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak to you tonight. Wanted to let you know about something going on in our group. In March, the LMSD ISC launched our first ever You Matter Awards to recognize teachers and staff who are helping students feel cared about, connected, and valued. The goal of the award is to celebrate the important individuals and to amplify exceptional efforts to build belonging, with the hope that the best practices can be more broadly adopted to benefit more students across the district. Many thanks to Stephanie Tomei and Becca Block for an outstanding job leading this project with support from Michelle Vessel and our HSAs. We received nearly 130 nominations from students and parents across all 11 schools. The nominees represented many roles within Lower Merion, from special education support to art and music teachers, to counselors, and to classroom teachers. The breadth of the submissions really showed how much of an impact that all of those who reach our children's lives can have. Winners were determined by a review committee who read and scored nominations using a rubric to measure the impact, frequency, and replicability of the efforts described. We announced the winners of the You Matter Award for 2025 at our annual Administration Appreciation Luncheon last week. They will also be recognized via press release as well as through various school and district channels throughout the month. The ISC is also giving each award winner a small token of appreciation, and we're thrilled to share with you the winners of the 2025 You Matter Award with you tonight. For the Bala-Cynwyd Middle School, it's Beth Pavletich, a 6th grade teacher. Belmont Hills Elementary School is Tyree Anik High, a 2nd grade teacher. At Black Rock Middle School, Dina Ayers, 5th grade teacher. Kinwood Elementary School, Tom Dougherty, a 3rd grade teacher. Gladwin Elementary School, Lauren Giuliano, a special education teacher. At Harriton High School, Honora Jackson, an art teacher. Lower Merion High School, Joshua Hunnix, a music teacher. Marion Elementary, Marita McCarthy, a music teacher. Penn Valley Elementary School, Eric Dolbeck, 1st grade teacher. Penwyn Elementary School, Kelly McGee, a guidance counselor. And at Welsh Valley Middle School, Mary Beth McCarrick, instrumental music and strings teacher. Congratulations to all the winners, and thank you for your commitment to building belonging. On behalf of the ISC and students and parents throughout the district, thank you for the incredible impact you're having on our students' experience, and congratulations on this well-deserved recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, ISC, and thank you, teachers.
Rich Lester, Villanova. I have a couple of quick things to say. First, again, I want to commend the students for their voices tonight. It was wonderful to hear their opinions. Not everyone's going to agree with everything you say, but you speak eloquently, thoughtfully, respectfully, and you're modeling behavior that the adults in the community should follow. It was wonderful. I also think it's a really important thing that we as a community, and especially as a school board, think about how we incorporate student voices into the school board. We should probably follow the lead of Radnor, which has a student voice on every committee actively participating in it. And it's something that I would advocate for our school board to really consider. The other thing that I just want to call out is we have had a lot of issues around anti-Semitism, around hate, around student voices. In December, there was a program announced by the school board about fighting anti-Semitism and hate, talking about tracking data. It would be really good to hear an update. It would help build trust that this is being followed up on, that things are being followed through on. So please, at some point soon, let us know how the progress is going on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Beth Samberg, and I'm the proud mother of 4 Jewish children, and I reside in Bala-Cynwyd. Last month, my son, who's a sophomore at Lower Merion High School, sent me a text message while in Mr. Grace's Global Studies class. During class, my son looked towards the window and noticed a plant placed in a pot that had the picture of a Jewish star with a line through it. I've brought copies so you can review it closer. My son has sat in the same seat the entire year and never noticed this pot before. It was either simply not there or someone moved it for it to be more visible. The school district has tried to create a story around this pot that is a complete fabrication of the reality of the situation. When other parents emailed the district about the pot, Amy Buckman took that opportunity to gaslight my 16-year-old. She tried to claim that the pot in the classroom with a Jewish star with a line through it was the retelling of the story of Exodus. I saw the markings on that pot. One of them looked like what could only be described as a pirate flag. I am not a biblical scholar. I do not claim to be one, yet I do know the story of Exodus, and I know that there were no pirates during the story of Exodus. There were other unexplained markings on this pot as well. None of them connect to the story of Exodus. To date, Ms. Buckman has not sent out a retraction of her made-up story, nor has she addressed what the pot actually was. And it leads me to wonder if this would have been the response if the target had been anyone except for the Jews. There is only one explanation for this pot, yet the district continues to remain silent. The teacher is still teaching, and my child has been relegated to the library for the remainder of the year. The district handled the matter by completely ignoring it. Superintendent Ranelli, we met a few weeks ago regarding the pot, and you asked me to be your ally. You expressed that you were committed to changing the culture of anti-Semitism within our district. Well, I'm here tonight to publicly ask that back of you. Speak out for our Jewish students, speak out for our students of color, speak out for our students who identify as LGBTQ, speak out for our students who feel like they're not being heard. The silence from this district has gone on long enough. If we don't at least as a base start acknowledging that there is a problem, then how can we ever expect to fix it? Our children deserve better.
Thank you.
Good evening, Rachel Rogers from Ardmore. I am the Vice President of the Ardmore Avenue Community Center's Board of Directors. My fellow board members and I are here tonight to just formally address and seek clarity regarding a recent denial of busing for our summer camp. Approximately around 17 years, our program has received busing support, and this year we were informed that the busing was not going to be included in the budget. While we are aware of major budget cuts, we are also aware that transportation services were still provided for other parks and recreation programs in Lower Merion Township. Our community center also operates under the same department, so we are here tonight to respectfully ask what makes our camp any different. Initially, we were told that the issue was a shortage of drivers on Fridays. To accommodate this, we were more than willing to adjust our trips and the day. When we reduced the number of our trips for the summer in effort to further cooperate. Due to ongoing construction at our center, our program is already limited. However, it remains an essential that we stay open and provide a safe and enriching space for our children in this community. We have had several attempts to reach out with letters and emails to the superintendent's office, and we have not received a response. While we are aware that there has been a conversation with Commissioner Stevenson today, we want to stress how important it is to meet with you all, the Transportation Department, and our board for it to happen sooner than later. We cannot wait any longer as the summer is quickly approaching, so we wanted to know a timeline. We respectfully seek answers as our children deserve equal access to same opportunities as others within the township. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready? You good? Okay. Nigeria James, Winwood. Good evening, school board members and district officials. My name is Nigeria James, and I am a stakeholder on many levels in this school community. It is well understood that effective communication and close collaboration between parents and the school district are key components of successful educational outcomes. I'm encouraged to see that so many school board candidates recognize the importance of strong partnerships among parents, schools, and the broader community. This shared understanding is a vital common thread that can unite us in support of our students' success. I want to make you aware that this past Sunday, we completed the third installment of the Boxed Lunch in a Book Community Conversation series. I stand before you representing one of the committees born out of that gathering, the Empowering Parents, Thriving Kids Committee, which is one of 4 intersecting committees that can only be successful through real, multifaceted parent, school, and community engagement. Our committee has determined that we have 2 key desired outcomes by the end of this calendar year. Number 1, to boost and increase Black parent engagement by 50% in each school, and to complement the goal that and to complement that goal with number 2, increasing awareness of effective application of district resources and benefits for each of those households. Ultimately, we believe these concerted efforts will assist in this district closing the achievement gap for students of color. Before the end of the school year, we would like to work with the district to distribute a parent survey asking baseline questions related to our desired outcomes. By the fall, we would like to share the outcomes and invite Black students to engage with us at their respective open houses at each school. For decades, Black community leaders and parents have sought to, number 1, build strong and trusting relationships with the school district. Number 2, increase parent knowledge and skills. Number 3, enhance student academic achievement. And 4, promote shared decision-making. We are hopeful that our public declaration today will be received with the intentionality to continue to work together to achieve the best outcomes for our students. We look forward to having a designated district official to execute our short-term goal of ensuring our students receive the parent survey. Thank you for the opportunity to convey our thoughts. We look forward to your mutual commitment. Please contact Lorraine Carter so we can begin coordinating our efforts. Thank you. One last question. There are opportunities for us to have African-American AP classes in the district. Please consider that. I'm not sure why we don't have it, but please put that on your list as something to consider.
Thank you.
Delphine Reed and Gwen O'Bannon.
Hello, my name is Delphine Reed. I reside in Narberth. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight due to fear of how my fellow students have been treated by local community members and adults. But I'm here to say that Mr. Grace is an amazing teacher. He's one of the best teachers I've had in my 4 years at LM High School. And I think it's appalling that adults are coming up here and 1, calling Miss Amy Buckman a liar, and 2, putting our teachers under the bus. And speaking of which, that pot was made 20 years ago by a Jewish 14-year-old. So I find it interesting how many adults are bringing up these circumstances of anti-Semitism and using them as a scapegoat to promote their own social ideals. And I think it's not okay. I think it's not right. But I would like to emphasize Mr. Grace is an amazing teacher, and there should not be any, like, he's also retiring in 2 months at the end of this year, and he is fantastic and wonderful, and I'd like to highlight that, and that was the main thing I wanted to say. But thank you all for all your work tonight, and I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you.
Gwen O'Bannon, Bala-Cynwyd. So I also was not planning on speaking tonight. I apologize for a spontaneous speech, but this is my first time speaking at a meeting or really sharing my beliefs on a wider scale than small discussions with my friends. I felt very moved by everyone's speeches here tonight. Thank you all for coming and speaking at this meeting. I think that when you look at me, all of you here are going to make assumptions about what I believe. It's what we all do. You might look at me and make an assumption about my beliefs or my political party or my gender or anything about me. There will be thoughts that you have. And I am very lucky because I am not in a position where those assumptions are extremely dangerous for me. However, I have many fellow friends and students who they're of an ethnicity that when somebody looks at them, they make an assumption about their beliefs about what's going on with Israel-Palestine. And I have friends who, you look at them and if you know that they're Jewish, you make an assumption about what they believe about that conflict. And I think that I am very lucky that when people look at me, they make assumptions that don't cause me harm. However, I have many friends who are in much more dangerous positions based on what they look like and the groups that they belong to, because people will make harmful assumptions about them and will call them monsters and baby killers. And those are not, it is really scary to hear that about people that I know and love are being called out at a board meeting. It's very scary for them, and I'm speaking here tonight to say that I think that it's important to come from a place of understanding. Is that my time? Oh, sorry. It's just important to come from a place of understanding. I value knowing and understanding every side of any conflict before you come to a decision about it. And I know that that's what you all put effort into doing here tonight as well. And I value that and I appreciate that. And I just want to thank you all for listening to everyone here. And I implore you to listen to every side of all of these conflicts. And I know that that's hard to do, and I know that that's what you already do. But I find value in every person's opinion here tonight, and it is very difficult to come to a conclusion, but when we speak about it and when we have discussions like this and possibly wider discussions, it is extremely helpful, and this is how we come to solutions rather than more conflict. Thank you all for listening to me tonight. I give up the rest of my time.
Thank you. End of public comment? Correct. In-person portion, sorry. Now moving to the chat.
Good evening. There are 4 comments in the chat. First, Sarah Garner, Ardmore. I want to thank you for caring about inclusive playgrounds in our elementary schools. I'm here tonight to urge you to commit to allocating funding for the playground renovations in the 2025-2026 budget rather than considering it a possible expense. Here is a link to a petition signed by over 150 people in our community who would like you to commit to funding the renovations. We hope you hear our voices and make our playgrounds places of belonging. Thank you. And there was a link placed in the chat, which I can't read. Michelle Vessel, Gladwin. I would like to take a moment to thank you for some of the recent efforts we have seen in our district during Jewish Heritage Month, and also the Weitzman residencies and visits from Holocaust survivors. These experiences have had a meaningful impact on our students and community. That said, I believe it is important for our community to be fully informed. As Carrie Sautner and Anna Shurek seek re-election to the board, their campaign highlights their efforts to combat anti-Semitism through partnerships with Weitzman, Stand With Us, and the JCRC. However, it should be acknowledged that these initiatives were not undertaken proactively, but rather came after more than a year of advocacy by members of our community. In fact, the process was restarted entirely after the departure of our previous superintendent due to issues raised by them and about working with Stand With Us. Billy Vessel Gladwin. I am particularly interested to see if Anna or Carrie would be willing to clarify why they have a problem with Stand With Us in our district's programming. I've asked this many times and have never received an answer. On a positive note, I'd like to recognize Harriton High School Principal Stu Warschauer for organizing an event that brought together students from the Manasseh group and the JSU group. This initiative encouraged meaningful dialogue and helped students to learn how to communicate empathetically and work through their differences. This was a good experience for all involved, and I appreciate the efforts of our principal for going the extra mile to help bring our students together and help them learn how to have difficult conversations in a productive way. Miriam Phillips, resident Ardmore, board member of Ardmore Avenue Community Center. Some of my comments may have been mentioned by our president or vice president. Our director had a meeting with Jim Lill, and the board sent 2 requests for camp transportation with no replies. Why was our request denied but the Parks and Recreation request approved? AACC is part of Parks and Rec and should not be considered in isolation. We have pared down our request from daily transit to once per week for a total of 4 trips. Lower Merion School District has enjoyed the use of township parks for years, including at our Vernon Young Playground. We thank Commissioner Stevenson for intervening on our behalf. What is the time frame for meeting with us regarding camp transportation? Camp starts on June 23rd. That concludes the chat comments.
Thank you so much. And with that, we are moving on to the consent agenda. So let me just pull up my notes. Thank you. Mr. Ruse, can you please read any no, already did that, sorry. At this time, we will move forward with approving tonight's agenda. Do I have a motion to approve all of the items listed on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Now this is your part, Mr. Ruse. The Sunshine Act. Well, Mr. Ruse, can you please make announcements required by the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act?
Yes, the board met in executive session earlier tonight prior to this meeting regarding matters of personnel and also real estate acquisition.
Wonderful. And so our last thing is about the next board meetings that are coming up. Unless you want to make a statement about ISC? Okay, great. We just wanted to publicly thank the Interschool Council and the amazing awards. Teachers do really matter, and our work to ensure that our teachers, our school teams, and the work that's happening at all levels of the school matter to all of us. And we are just so grateful for family and community groups like ISC that take that extra step and ensure that our teachers recognize that the entire community thanks them and are really appreciative. So thank you for the leadership, Lisa Prosnick, Cami for the amazing work on that. So thank you.
I just want to celebrate some of our students in our district a little bit at the end of the meeting. I mentioned these first two in our finance meeting. Lower Merion was named Best Community for Music Education by the National Association of Music Merchants for the 15th consecutive year. Now in its 26th year, Best Community designation is awarded to districts that demonstrate exceptional achievement in providing access to comprehensive music education for all students. Number two, 6 of our Harriton High School students received National Merit Scholarships, so congratulations to them. And this coming Wednesday night, the Lower Merion Township Scholarship Fund will hold its annual recognition banquet at the Merion Tribute House. Over the past 60 years, the fund has awarded more than $4.5 million in needs-based scholarships. So congratulations to everybody, and thank you for all of the support.
Fantastic. Thank you, landing on that positive note and amazing students. And so everybody, the next board meetings will be held this next board meeting will be held in this building, in this room, and on Zoom on June 16th. That's the regular business board meeting. Committee meetings that we shared earlier, there are 2 coming up in the next month. June 6th is policy at 9 a.m. and June 12th is facilities and purchasing at 9:30 a.m. and that is via Zoom. And remember, you can find all of this at lmsd.org/board. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. We are adjourned.